Hello, I'm KARE 11 Chief Meteorologist Belinda Jensen. Welcome to Weathering the Seasons Severe Weather Special. You know, 2 out of the 4 seasons, my team is geared up to make sure you are prepared for severe storms, both, of course, spring and summer. And whether you've lived in this part of the country your entire life or maybe just for a short time, you likely know that we have a fair amount of severe weather. And my hope is that at the end of this special, this 30 minutes, you will feel like you're more informed on all that severe weather season entails. Now, let's get into it. Severe weather typically happens from May to July. That's when the bulk of severe weather happens. But we can have severe storms every single month of the year. It can start as early as March, and we really do have a secondary surge that has actually become way more active, and that's in September and early October across the country because of the warmer temperatures. Now, injuries. We're looking at a time period between 2018 and 2022. The good news is that injuries from storms have decreased by 16%, and deaths have decreased by 22% in that same time period. Now, out of the most dangerous storms across the country, there might surprise you, there are 180 deaths in 1 year due to heat and 93 because of floods. It's not hurricanes and tornadoes, it's heat and floods. But 317 people that year were injured by tornadoes. In our area, Minnesota, we typically have 46 tornadoes statewide. Meteorologist Ben Deary is going to look at when these tornadic storms happen in a calendar year.
Tornado season occurs at different parts of the country at different times of the year. During the winter months, tornadoes are mostly limited to the deep south. As spring temperatures warm, this area tends to lift north. By early summer, severe weather season peaks here in the upper Midwest. Tornado season in Minnesota typically runs from May to July. During this time, about 3/4 of all of our yearly tornadoes occur. June is the most active severe weather month when the state averages nearly 10 tornadoes. The earliest tornado recorded in the state was back on March 6 in 2017. The latest happened not that long ago, on December 15th in 2021. Minnesota averages 46 tornadoes a year, with the most occurring in 2010 when 113 touched down. Now to learn about which clouds to look out for, here's Sunrise meteorologist John Ziegler.
And severe weather brings incredible clouds, but you need to know the difference of these two. The first is a wall cloud. This is the one that produces the potential tornado. And the reason for it is because it's rotating and lowering from the base of a storm cloud. But the key word is it has rotation. You'll actually slightly see that in a wall cloud. Big misconception is that a shelf cloud is a wall cloud because it looks like a wall. But a shelf cloud is a downdraft cloud, and it actually pushes wind away from it. Now, this can cause damage and is typically with the squall line, not as much with tornadoes. This spans on the horizon and the leading edge of thunderstorms. Both clouds carry a lot of hail. To talk about hail is weekend meteorologist Jamie Cagle.
Hail causes nearly $1 billion worth of damage every year in the U.S. So how do these frozen stones of destruction form? Well, hailstones form when raindrops are carried upward by a thunderstorm's updraft to levels so cold they freeze. They grow as they collide with water droplets within the thunderstorm, freezing on the hailstone's surface, and the hailstone will continue to grow as this cycle repeats. Eventually, it will fall when it becomes too large and heavy for the updraft to lift anymore. Hailstone sizes are often compared to familiar objects such as pennies, nickels, and quarters. The largest hailstone recovered in the U.S. fell in Vivian, South Dakota, with a diameter of 8 inches. The threat of hail is greater in spring when there is stronger instability and more cold air aloft. Lightning is one of the deadliest factors in severe storms. Here again is Chief Meteorologist Belinda Jensen.
When thunder roars, go indoors. Lightning is dangerous, but thunder is helpful. That's what I've been telling the kids for 35 years, and it really does work. People listen. Kids listen. All right, let's talk about some stats. Every second, roughly 100 lightning bolts hit the earth. And in the year of 2020, Minnesota averaged 8 million strikes across the state. Only 1 million of those actually hit the ground, and the other 7 million stayed in the clouds. Now, the counties that had the most lightning strikes per square mile are down to the southwest of the metro. They are Nicollet, Sibley, Brown, Blue Earth, and Renville. And there are 27 average deaths in a year nationwide and 243 injuries. Now, the odds are still really, really slight. You have a 1 in 1.2 million chance that you might get struck by lightning in your lifetime. But in the last 10 years, men outnumbered women 3-to-1 when it came to getting struck. And that occurred when they were doing such things as golfing, boating, construction jobs, walking, and hunting. Well, coming up next, we are going to be talking about the new research that is out there that tells you how to stay safe when severe weather rolls in. We'll be right back. Well, here we are all together, which is fun. We don't get a chance to see each other too often, my team. All right, this entire segment is about how to make me smarter. We have all learned, as the research continues to come in, of how to stay safe. The number one thing you need to know, which might surprise a lot of people, is you need to know where you live. And you need to know what county you live in. And if you live in a huge county, you need to know what part of the county you live in. So get a map out. It's kind of a cool geography thing to do with the kids anyway. And also know what counties are to your west, to your northwest, to your southwest, because that, of course, is the predominant track of these severe storms. So you know if it's coming and you know where you live. All right, now let's talk, Ben, about what to do in the basement or how to stay safe. What are some new things about that?
Well, everyone knows go to the basement in case of severe weather. When a tornado is coming your way, when a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning is issued, that's where you go. If you don't have a basement, the most interior room of the house, like a closet or a bathroom. And to have a plan, that's the important thing. Have a plan and practice it with your family. You can do this today. You can build a severe weather emergency kit. Things like water, easy food to make, but also bicycle helmets, that's important. And also another thing that we learned too, bring old pairs of shoes down there, because if a tornado were to hit, there's probably going to be lots of broken glass, sharp pieces of metal that you don't really want to be walking on.
Yeah, and it might be summer. You might run down there with your flip-flops. And of course, the helmets are really important because a lot of the deaths and the injuries are because of blunt force to the head. And that's one thing we've learned. All right, now you're outside, John. How do you stay safe?
I mean, this is the tricky part, right? Because you need to be extremely prepared if you're going to go outside, especially in the summertime, because it could be a perfect morning, and all of a sudden, in the afternoon, here comes the thunderstorms, and you don't want to get caught. So first things first, know how to get the information, whether it's local media. SPC is very important, the Storm Prediction Center. Just check, is there a threat for storms today or this weekend? Be prepared because you don't want to get caught in a bad situation. Now, when you're out there, let's say you do get caught. First things first, if you're camping, stay away from large objects, the largest trees, stay away from them. If you're on the water, get off the water. Make sure you have a way to get some type of information relayed to you, whether it's a weather radio or your phone or a radar, or have some type of way to get information. And then if you get caught in the worst situation, you can use your car as backup. You need to get away from all the objects, and you need to get in the lowest level if you absolutely get caught in a bad situation of, say, a ditch or something like that. But again, car, last resort. It's better to find your shelter or a large structure and know where that structure is going to be before you go camping or outside.
And most campgrounds have that.
So
that's a big deal. And also know what county that campground's in. All right. Now, Jamie, a lot of people want to become storm spotters. They want to help out. They're interested. How do they do that?
Well, the Storm Spotting Network is just a communication network for the Weather Service. So as a storm spotter, you would sign up as you go to their website. Weather.gov is where you start. Click on where you live. It'll take you to the local office. They'll have this time of year, late winter into spring, they have their schedule right at the top of the headlines. Click on it, you can find that location, you can attend it. It's going to be a couple of hours, but you're going to learn the basics to help you identify what's going on. Then you are just stationed more or less in your neighborhood, your home, or maybe in a spot nearby, and you're going to relay the information as that storm passes by. It's their way of verifying on the ground what they are seeing on radar, what we're seeing as these storms evolve and move through the area. So it's, again, eyes on the ground for them, and it just helps them verify their forecast, verify what's happening, and then that information is then relayed to us and to the
that
public.
helps us. That helps all of us. That helps us see it. So it's super, super important. Well, as meteorologists that have been doing this for a long time, we have all covered hundreds and hundreds of storms. But certain storms are indelible. They're in our memory. After the break, we're going to be talking about which storms there are and what we have learned from those storms. We'll be right back.
It was one of those live events in television news that those who saw it will never forget.
I mean, it's crazy. It's a tornado. You should run, for the basement.
But the twist in this twister is that one news crew did not run for the basement.
This is spectacular. This is spectacular. We have debris thousands of feet in the air.
It was July 18th, 1986, the first day of the Aquatennial in Minneapolis. Sky 11 was dispatched to shoot aerials of the big block party on Hennepin Avenue.
All of a sudden, I heard from the assignment desk that there was a funnel cloud and that Sky 11 was on the way.
Our news helicopter changed course and made a little weather history.
Normally, if we have any video of a tornado, it would be from the ground. But this gave us the perspective from above.
There's other spectacular video from other vantage points, but there has never been, to the best of my knowledge, a repeat of that vantage point anywhere in the world.
Well, that was a remarkable day here at KARE 11 and a remarkable day for science and tornado science in the country and in the world. This has never happened before, and the fact that it happened during a 5 o'clock newscast when Paul Douglas and Paul Majors and the anchors were live is remarkable, and the video as well. All right, we've all covered lots of storms, but we have storms that we keep thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to start with the one that I will never forget. It was 1998. It was late March. It was a Sunday. I was the weekend meteorologist, and a tornado dropped out of a supercell in southern Minnesota and was on the ground for 52 miles. Let's take a look at the storm path. It started at about 4:35 in the southwest corner of the state in Adrian. As it moves to the north, it moved through Comfrey at around 4:45, and then an F3 now with winds up to 206 miles per hour from the superstorm moved through St. Peter, then an F2 through La Center, and then finally in Lonsdale. They're not sure exactly what the wind speeds there were, but possibly an F1 or F2.
Watch your steps. There you go.
As soon as I saw the Gustavus on the top of the hill without any trees and the chapel steeple down, it was devastating.
Oh, it's okay. It can be fixed.
You know, until that night, we didn't really realize how extensive it was, and the fact that now I have a son at Gustavus, and those trees will never be as big. And you were there when the trees were huge before that tornado at Gustavus. And, you know, the fact that they found mail in Apple Valley from St. Peter, and there were only 2 fatalities, is remarkable when you look at the damage. And the fact that the Gustavus students were thankfully on spring break. Because if they weren't on spring break, there would have been so many more fatalities. It really just, I mean, I can't even talk about it. All right, let's talk about June 2010, Ben. That was a big day.
That's right. It was a big month for tornadoes in Minnesota. June 17th, 2010, the greatest tornado outbreak in the state. 48 tornadoes touched down that day. The average for the entire year is just 46. And it wasn't just remarkable for how many tornadoes, but for how intense they were and over such a broad area. There were 15 tornadoes EF2 or greater, that's 110 miles per hour or greater, and 3 of them were EF4 tornadoes, over 165 miles per hour, which is wild. Main epicenter, Wadena counties, Otter Tail counties, but 22 counties in the state of Minnesota saw tornadoes that day.
It was remarkable. We were on the air for hours and hours and hours because it didn't only happen in northern Minnesota, it also happened in southern Minnesota. And I do believe that Wadena County was hit twice that day.
It was an amazing day. Over a 6-hour span time frame, tornadoes, basically a good chunk of the afternoon.
Well, now we're going to move to July 1999, and it was a derecho that hit the Boundary Waters canoe area on July 4th weekend. It was packed with people. It was remarkable.
Well, it just started raining really hard, and then the wind started picking up really bad, and then it started flipping canoes. And that's when and then trees just started falling all around us, and that's when we knew we needed to go someplace safe.
And this storm was so extensive with damage, it caused 22 million trees just in the Boundary Waters to collapse. And you talk about all those people out there camping over this weekend. It's remarkable that only 2 people lost their lives during this event. It also lets you know why you need to get away from large trees when you're in the middle of a strong storm system. The derecho, especially the Boundary Waters derecho, had winds in excess of 90 miles per hour. The Hibbing Airport reported 81 just at the airport. And there's something remarkable that happens from a 70 mile per hour wind that does damage to 90 plus, which will knock down every single tree. And in total, 370,000 acres were damaged out of the 1 million in the Boundary Waters.
It is remarkable, and you know, it didn't only affect that summer, but it affected the summers after that because of all of it ended up burning because all of that wood was down.
They were so worried about this, and there were 2 very large fires, one in 2006, one in 2007. It ended up being lucky that it ended up separating in fires because it could have been one massive fire. So bunch of concerns with one derecho.
Absolutely. All right, now we're going to move to a southern Minnesota storm. And this storm was known not only for tornadoes, but also hail.
I got them all in our yard under a tree over there.
Call them unwelcome visitors that just sort of dropped in.
I have this one here, and then there's one right here.
Frozen baseballs that landed on New Prague with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Roof damage will be measured later.
See, those are big.
Stanley Simon stuck these hailstones in his freezer to show his insurance agent.
I gotta check my roof now because they were pounding pretty hard.
With hail this size, you can see the potential for damage. Just look at the divots left in the lawn.
This was August 2006, and besides this enormous hail, a very powerful tornado. At this time, an F3 tornado winds about 165 to about 200. Nowadays, that's EF4. But this rolled through just south of that St. Peter Comfrey tornado, so a lot of emotion came along with this tornado just 8 years later. And besides that, the number of homes that were absolutely devastated, over 150 homes had damage, but several were completely removed from their foundation. Some were completely obliterated. Livestock, widespread livestock fatalities, farm damage. There was one fatality, a 90-year-old gentleman trapped in his house, LeSueur County towards Kasota. So that's when storm coverage became very real for me. So it definitely had that emotion to it rather than it just being a radar image or a warning.
All right, well, we all talked about the strong winds, the tornadoes, the hail, but of course, severe weather can also mean flooding rains. In July of 1987, there was a superstorm. This is what the radar looked like. This storm came up in the night and did not move. This is very typical of late summer, and this storm alone dropped over a foot of rain. And of course, 494 was closed. A lot of people remember that storm, that's for sure. We'll be back right after the break with how you can help us tell the tale of severe weather. Well, here at KARE 11, we're very proud that for decades we have been the calm before the storm. So we really, really think that is important, and the fact that we want to share information with you to let you know how to stay safe, but we're not going to, of course, overhype storms. We never have, we never will. But if we know that a storm is going to be damaging and it is going to be affecting you, we are going to put a weather warn day out, and we're going to be putting those out in the form of a red column on your 7-day forecast. So look for that. Now, Ben, how do they share pictures?
Well, we do want to share the weather story, especially when it comes to severe weather. But when you are sharing photos, we want to make sure you are being safe about it, right? Wait until the storm is over before you start inspecting damage and snapping photos and sending them to us.
And of course, I start the shows off at 4:30 in the morning. We're tracking those storms overnight, and we'll make sure that you're safe during your morning commute.
That's right. And of course, we'll tag team after that, Ben and I, and then on weekends.
On weekends, I've got you covered for the severe weather coverage, Saturdays and Sundays.
That's right. And then we're all here to let you know what you can expect. You can always get information on KARE11.com and on all of our platforms. And until we see you during a severe storm, thanks for watching. The KARE 11 Weather Warn Day signals a change coming for your weather.
Big hail, downpours, and flooding over the last few hours.
Because severe storms strike fast, the Weather Warn symbol lets you know when to be prepared.
Today's Weather Warn Day certainly has been verified by what we're seeing on the radar right now.
Think of it as an alert that keeps you and your family safe during difficult weather. So when the next storm is heading your way, you'll be prepared. Be warned before the storm with KARE 11 Weather Warn.
KARE 11 Sunrise prepares you for your day, every day.
Rise and shine, everyone. Jason and Alicia here with you.
Here's what you need to know while waking up today.
See what's happening with the latest breaking news.
Here's some brand new information we're getting the last 15 minutes.
Plan for your day with KARE 11's most accurate morning forecast.
And we're tracking a line of storms that will impact your morning drive in.
And stay on your schedule with instant traffic updates.
If you're headed out the door within the next few minutes, you will see slowdowns.
Every day starts with sunrise on KARE 11.